She was still by the window when I pushed myself upright, the sheet slipping to my waist as if it, too, were curious about her. Outside, the city was waking, engines coughing to life, a bus sighing at the corner, but inside, time moved differently. Carefully. Like one wrong word might shatter the quiet. My shirt hung from her shoulders, loose enough to look accidental, deliberate enough to feel like a statement. She traced the rim of the coffee mug I must have left on the sill the night before, her fingers moving as though she were memorizing the shape of something she planned to return. "You didn't tell me you had this view," she said. "I forget it's there," I answered. The truth was simpler, I'd forgotten a lot of things lately. She turned, leaning back against the glass. The morning light made her eyes brighter than they'd been in the bar, less guarded, less amused. Last night she'd laughed like she expected the joke to end badly. Now she looked like she expected answers. "You always forget the good parts?" she asked. I swung my legs over the side of the bed and stood. The floor was cold, it helped. "Only when I'm busy pretending I don't deserve them." Her smile flickered. Not gone, just recalibrated. She took a sip from the mug and winced. "That's terrible coffee." "I know," I said. "It's old. So are some habits." She set the mug down and crossed the room, stopping a careful distance away. Close enough that I could smell soap and something citrusy I couldn't place. Far enough that she could still leave without brushing my arm. "Last night," she began, then paused, choosing the right angle. "Wasn't an accident." I nodded. "Neither was the shirt." She glanced down, then back up, caught between a grin and something serious. "I needed something to wear." "You could have asked." "I did," she said lightly. "Just not out loud." We stood there, two adults pretending this was casual when it wasn't. The truth sat between us like a third presence. We'd both come here with exits mapped and plans half made, and then we'd missed our turns. She looked past me toward the bed, the chair with her jacket draped over it, the shoes tucked neatly underneath as if they belonged. "You're more organized than I expected." "From what?" "The bar version of you," she said. "You had a storm behind your eyes." "I still do." "Yes," she said softly. "But it's quieter." I laughed once. "You're a good observer." "It's my job." That landed with weight. "Your job." She inhaled, steadying herself. "I listen. I notice. I don't usually stay." The words rang in the room. I leaned back against the dresser. "You staying is a risk. For both of us." I nodded again. Agreement came easily. "What's your name?" She blinked, surprised. "You don't remember." "I remember," I said. "I want to hear you say it now." "Claire," she said. "And you?" "Evan." She tried the name, tasting it. "Evan." The way she said it made me feel like I'd been seen, properly, for the first time in a while. I pushed off the dresser. "You hungry?" "Is that an invitation or a test?" "Both." We moved into the kitchen together, a choreography we hadn't practiced. She rummaged through cabinets with the ease of someone who believed she belonged in any room she entered. I cracked eggs, burned toast, fixed it. She laughed at my apologies, then apologized for laughing. "So," she said, perched on the counter, sleeves pushed up. "What do you do when you're not pretending?" "I fix things," I said. "Cars. Appliances. Sometimes people. People are tricky. I don't charge them." She smiled at that, then looked away, suddenly thoughtful. "I make decisions that affect a lot of people." "That sounds heavier." "It is. Does it ever get lonely?" She hesitated. "Only when I stop moving." Breakfast passed in pieces, stories swapped like coins, light enough to keep, heavy enough to feel real. She told me about airports and meetings that blurred together, about a childhood spent learning how to adapt. I told her about a life built quietly, deliberately, after one too many loud failures. When the plates were empty, she reached for the sink, then stopped herself. "I should go." The room shifted. I didn't ask why. I didn't ask where. I respected the gravity of the moment. "Okay." She seemed surprised by my answer. "Just like that. I won't trap you with words," I said. "If you stay, I want it to be because you chose it." She searched my face, measuring. "You're dangerous." "So are you." She laughed, then sobered. "I'll bring the shirt back." "You can keep it," I said. "Borrowed can become permanent." She slipped her jacket on, the shirt disappearing beneath it, like a secret folded away. At the door, she paused. "Evan." The apartment didn't go back to normal after she left. It tried, Sunlight shifted, the refrigerator hummed, the city kept breathing, but something essential had been rearranged. Like furniture moved an inch to the left. Not enough to notice at first. Enough to trip over later. I spent the morning fixing what didn't need fixing. A loose cabinet hinge. A door that had never squeaked until I decided it did. By noon, I'd given up on productivity and made coffee strong enough to punish myself for thinking about her. Claire. Her name stayed with me, looping through my thoughts with the persistence of a song you don't want to admit you like. 3 days passed. On the 4th, my phone buzzed while I was under the hood of a sedan that had seen better decades. I wiped my hands and checked the screen. Claire, you said borrowed could become permanent. I stared at the message longer than necessary, then typed back. Me. I meant the shirt. The reply came almost instantly. Claire, I meant everything else. We met that evening at a quiet cafe halfway between my world and whatever orbit she traveled in. She arrived without an entourage, without the polished armor I imagined she wore elsewhere. Jeans. Flats. My shirt under a jacket she shrugged off the moment she sat down. You kept it, I said. She smiled. I like reminders. We talked carefully at first, like two people learning the weight of each other's honesty. She didn't dodge questions, but she didn't overshare either. Not yet. There was a balance she was testing, how much truth I could hold without flinching. You could have disappeared, I said. So could you. I'm not very good at that. She studied me, then nodded. Neither am I anymore. Over the weeks that followed, she wove herself into my life with an ease that surprised us both. Late dinners when her schedule collapsed unexpectedly. Quiet mornings when she stayed, curled on the couch with her feet tucked under my thigh, reading emails she pretended weren't urgent. Sometimes she'd go quiet, distant in a way that had nothing to do with me. I learned not to chase those silences. I learned how to wait. One night, rain pressed against the windows like it had the first time. She stood in the kitchen, arms crossed, my shirt replaced by a blouse that meant business. Her hair was pinned up, her posture tight. I didn't tell you everything, she said. I set my glass down. Okay. I run a company, she continued. A big one. I figured it was something like that. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You're not curious. I'm curious about you, I said. Titles don't change that. She exhaled slowly. I'm used to people changing. Then let me be boring, I replied. Let me stay the same. She laughed, short, incredulous. You have no idea how rare that is. The truth came out in layers after that. The pressure, the bored, the expectations that followed her into every room like shadows. She spoke of responsibility the way some people spoke of weather, constant, unavoidable. I don't get to be reckless, she said once. Not even a little. You were, I said gently. The night we met. Her gaze softened. That scared me. Did it scare you enough to leave? No, she said. That's what scares me. There were moments when our worlds collided awkwardly, calls she had to take, events she couldn't skip. I didn't attend most of them. Not because I wasn't invited, but because she hadn't asked. Not yet. We were still building the language of us. The invitation came on an ordinary Tuesday. Come with me, she said, eyes searching mine. Just once. The room she led me into was all glass and steel, full of people who spoke in confidence and moved like they owned the floor beneath them. She was different there, sharper, taller somehow. But when she reached for my hand, the gesture was the same. Whispers followed. I felt them without hearing a word. Later, alone in the car, she stared out the window. You don't look shocked. I am, I admitted. Just not by you. She turned. Aren't you worried? About what? That this is complicated. I smiled faintly. I fix complicated things. She rested her head against the seat, eyes closed. Stay tonight. I did. Time passed. Not dramatically. Honestly. We argued about small things, where to eat, how much she worked, how little I asked for. She accused me once of making it too easy to leave. You don't fight for me, she said. I do, I replied. I just don't fight you. That stopped her. The night everything changed came quietly. She arrived late, shoulders heavy, mascara smudged by something she refused to name at first. I didn't ask questions. I handed her water. I listened. They want me to step aside, she said eventually. Cleanly. Politely. And what do you want? She looked at me, really looked. I want to stop running. The words settled between us, solid and real. She stayed that night without alarms set, without a schedule waiting. In the morning, she wore my shirt again, barefoot by the window, sunlight painting her familiar. This time, when she turned to face me, there was no hesitation. "Evan," she said, steady. "I'm not borrowing anymore." I crossed the room and took her hands. "Then stay."